In the villages and courts of 19th-century China, a practice cloaked as tradition bound women in a lifetime of pain. Foot binding, a punishment disguised as beauty. The 1800s marked the peak of this custom, where young girls, often from poor families, had their feet forcibly broken and tightly wrapped to prevent growth, rendering them dependent and submissive. This was more than a cultural ritual, it was a tool of social control, used to punish defiance, enforce gender roles, and limit women's freedom. Their stories, etched in the agony of deformed feet, are a forgotten chapter of history that Whispers of the Past seeks to reveal, shedding light on a practice that scarred generations. Foot binding began as early as the Tang dynasty, but reached its height in the 1800s, affecting an estimated 40 to 50% of Chinese women by mid-century. The process started when girls were between 4 and 9 years old, their toes bent under and heels forced toward the front, wrapped with tight bandages to stunt growth to a golden lotus size of about 3 inches. Historical accounts from missionaries like John McGowan, writing in the 1870s, describe the excruciating pain: bones cracking, flesh rotting from infection, and girls fainting from agony. For many, this was not just a cultural expectation, but a punishment for families or daughters who resisted arranged marriages or challenged patriarchal norms, turning a personal ordeal into a public lesson. The social control behind foot binding was stark, targeting women to keep them subservient. In rural areas where labor was vital, bound feet prevented women from working in fields, confining them to domestic roles and reinforcing male dominance. Punishments were often meted out by families or village elders. Girls who refused binding or whose families defied local customs faced ostracism, beatings, or even the binding being done more brutally as retribution. The Qing dynasty's legal codes, documented in the 19th century, indirectly supported this by prioritizing male lineage, leaving women vulnerable to such practices. The pain was a constant reminder of their place, with many enduring lifelong mobility issues and chronic infections. The physical toll was devastating, transforming young girls into symbols of suffering. Bandages were tightened every few weeks, cutting off circulation and causing gangrene in severe cases. Missionary reports from the 1840s estimate that 10% of girls died from infections or shock. Women with bound feet, known as lotus feet, were prized for marriage. But the reality was grim. Many could barely walk, relying on servants or family. Their pain a silent punishment for a society that valued appearance over humanity. Oral histories collected by ethnographers like Mary S. Mitchell in the late 1800s recount women weeping through the process, their cries ignored as a necessary sacrifice for family honor. Despite the torment, some Chinese women resisted this imposed punishment, their defiance a quiet rebellion. In the 1830s, Christian missionaries began advocating against foot binding, influencing women like Qiu Jin, who later became a revolutionary, to reject the practice and promote education instead. Secret societies of women in Guangdong province, documented in local records from the 1860s, unbound their feet in hidden ceremonies, risking social exile to reclaim their mobility. This resistance grew stronger toward the century's end, with the 1898 Anti-Foot Binding Society marking a turning point, though change came slowly amidst entrenched customs. The practice's decline in the late 1800s was driven by both internal resistance and external pressure. The Taiping Rebellion, 1850 to 1864, disrupted traditional structures, allowing some women to escape binding in rebel-held areas, as noted in rebel edicts preserved in the Shanghai archives. Foreign influence, particularly from British and American missionaries, intensified after the Opium Wars, with figures like Alicia Little founding the Natural Foot Society in 1895 to campaign against the custom. By 1902, the Qing government issued an edict banning foot binding, though enforcement was weak. Oral testimonies from the 1910s suggest many families continued in secret, fearing loss of status. The cultural impact of foot binding lingered long after its decline, shaping China's social fabric. Bound feet became a symbol of the old order, with the 1911 revolution accelerating its rejection as part of modernizing reforms. Photographs from the early 20th century, archived by the Library of Congress, show women with deformed feet struggling to adapt, their pain a testament to centuries of oppression. The practice's legacy fueled feminist movements, with women like Song Qingling using their voices to advocate for gender equality, drawing from the suffering of their predecessors. Medical consequences were severe, with bound feet leading to lifelong disabilities. Studies from the 1930s estimate that 60% of affected women suffered from arthritis or infections by old age. The psychological scars were equally deep, with women passing down stories of their pain to warn future generations. The communist government's 1949 ban finally eradicated the practice, but the memory of those bound by pain remains a haunting reminder of gender-based punishment. Reflecting on this history today, we see the enduring strength of Chinese women who endured foot binding as a form of punishment. Their resistance, though slow to take root, challenged a system that sought to confine them, paving the way for modern equality movements. The practice's decline mirrors broader shifts toward women's rights, yet it serves as a stark reminder of the violence embedded in cultural norms. Whispers of the Past honors their memory, urging us to recognize the cost of such traditions and the power of those who defied them, ensuring their stories are not forgotten.